Good day, everyone. I'm Theresa Obrero from Bagongpok Elementary School. And I know you are done already with parts of an action research, which is context in the rationale. Now, let's have an action research questions. Let us just have some details or goes deeper on it. But before that, we have our objectives for this session. The participants should be able to identify the types and purpose of an action research questions. Second, determine the criteria in writing a good action research questions. And formulate action research questions that you will be doing it later on. Let's have an overview of an action research questions. These are used to guide the action research process through the design and conduct of data collection, the analysis and validation or triangulation of data, and the writing of the report. Action research is an intentional act, and the research questions can be used to state your intentions according to developing action research questions. It reflects also your experiences and identify the most critical problem that affects your students' learning. Therefore, a good classroom action research question should be meaningful and compelling. It pinpoints exactly what you want to find out and gives your work a clear focus and purpose, according to Shona McCombs of 2019. There are many types of action research questions, but we will just be dealing on the most common that we will be using it based on the research that you will be conducting. Research questions, we have descriptive and inferential, which is under quantitative, qualitative, and output. The purpose of research questions or the statement of the problem to get also your major goal, which is your general question, followed by a specific questions. Under now the quantitative question types, we have descriptive questions. It actually seeks to describe the concept or topic in question, and it explains the WH questions. So with the formulation of descriptive questions, what are the characteristics of X? And if your question answerable by this, which means you are doing a descriptive question. Example, what percentage of junior high students have felt depressed in last year? Next, we have comparative questions, used to analyze the difference between two groups, concepts, or other variables. Formulation for this, what are the differences and similarities between X and Y? So if you are comparing two things using the differences or you wanted to know the differences, you are doing a comparative questions. Example, what are the differences in the acceptance level of the elementary students towards learning platform using online and modular? And also, we have correlational questions. Correlational questions designed to look at the relationships between two or more variables. The formulation for this, we have the underlined word there, which means we are looking for the relationship of the variables. So the formulation, what is the relationship between variable X and Y? Example, what is the relationship between the intelligence and self-esteem? Now let's have the qualitative question types, under which is exploratory questions. This form of questions looks to understand something you know already and you wanted to know more, to go deeper, to have more understanding of your topic or your study. The formulation, what are the main factors in X? What is the role of Y and Z? Example, what is the effect of personal technology on today's youth? Followed by predictive outcomes. Predictive questions, it attempts to identify the actual reasons a phenomenon occurs. So you are going to know, or maybe you wanted to know the outcome or the output of your study or your after knowing the output of your study or your project. So the formulation, Does X have an effect on Y? What is the impact of Y and Z? What are the causes of X? Example, are people more likely to buy a product after a celebrity promotes it? So you can use predictive questions. And we also have action research questions. An action research question, because we know that action research is an intentional act. Therefore, the research questions, you're going to use it to state your intentions. So the formulation in writing an action research question, how can X be achieved? And what are the most effective strategies to improve? Because in doing an action research, you are giving an intervention, or maybe you are innovating something. That's why you wanted to prove whether it is effective or not. Example, what are the effective strategies to improve authentic assessment during pandemic time? Now, after knowing the types, we have the criteria in writing a good action research questions so that we will be guided on how we are going to write an action research question. Number one, all research questions should be focused on a single problem or issue. You have to focus on it so that you can give more steady learnings and readings about it. Second, it should be researchable using primary and secondary sources. You will know later on what are those primary and secondary sources from our next lecturers. It should be feasible to answer within the time frame and practical constraints. In writing and action research, you have 3 months and a maximum of 6 months. It should be specific enough to answer thoroughly, but it should be complex also to develop the answer over the space of a paper or a thesis. You can't broaden it. And the most important thing is it should be relevant to your field of study or a society more broadly. It is much easier to come up with a study or a research action research questions if it is relevant to your field of study. Now let's have the characteristics of a good research questions. If your research questions has this kind of characteristics, therefore you are doing or you are making a good research question. 1. Details the problem statement. Next, it further describes and refines the issue under study. It adds focus to the problem statement. It guides the data collection and analysis, and it sets also the context of the research. With that, you are doing a good research questions. Now, I will give you some guidelines in formulating action research questions. Okay, if you're going to follow this, for sure, I am sure enough that you can come up with a good action research questions. Number one, you choose a broad topic. From a broad topic, you have to do some preliminary readings, which means you're going to read, and read. Try to read more. After that broad topic and readings of a broad topic, you're going to narrow down to a specific niche. It is actually your time to choose now. You have to narrow down. And after narrowing down, you're going to identify a practical or a theoretical research problem based on the readings that you have from a broad topic. By doing that, it's pretty sure that you will be doing or you are now on a right path of writing a good action research questions. With that, I have here for you as what I mentioned a while ago that before we started that one of our objectives, you're going to formulate an action research question. Based here on the title, Online Learning, Offline Outcomes, Online Course Taking, and High School Student Performance by Cassandra Hart. So it is actually a study. Now you are going to make an action research questions out of this. Just one research questions. I know you can come up with this. Now, how are you going to keep in touch with me. If you have any questions, clarifications, or maybe you wanted to add some more inputs about it. But before that, I'm going to leave you this one according to Anatole Rappaport. To gain knowledge, we must learn to ask the right questions. And to get answers, we must act, not wait for answers to occur to us. It is now our time to act and to do some actions. And also come up with the right questions to get the correct answers. With that, thank you so much for listening. And as I said a while ago, if you wanted to ask something further details about this topic, you can find me at mariatheresa.obrero at deped.gov.ph. Thank you and good day.